Welcome to Life-Changing Challengers, the podcast where passion meets purpose. I'm Brad Minus, your host, guiding you through stories of transformation and triumph, from endurance feats to overcoming adversity. Our guests defy the limits and inspire action. Ready to ignite your desire and incinerate your barriers? Join us. Your journey to the extraordinary begins now. All right, and we're back. This is Life-Changing Challengers. My name is Brad Minus. I'm your host today, and I am delighted and so honored to have Pam Sherman with us. She's an author, she's a speaker, she's a coach, she's a 7 times author, to include books such as 21 Days to a Leaner You, Your Health is Your Wealth, Rules for Weight Loss, Nutrition for Athletes. That's one I want to pick up. How to Avoid the Freshman 15. Now that's a little, that takes a little vibe off the other end. The Daily 3M Journal, The Perfect Balance Plan and Workbook. She has been a personal trainer for over 27 years. She's a coach. She's a speaker on the Fit Radio app, and she strives to help women lose weight, gain confidence, and move toward a lifelong wellness. Pam, thank you for being here. I'm so honored to have you here. How are you today?
I'm so excited. I was telling my husband, I'm in his office right now, like, I got to go in. I'm talking to Brad. It's going to be a great interview. We have so much in common because I used to be an endurance runner, and that's what you coach. Not anymore, but I was. And like, I know we have to keep it to a certain time, but we could talk for a long time, Brad.
Oh, I am. Yes, that's definitely a part in the cards for us. And we might have to figure out a different topic and talk again, but I really want to get into you, right?
Okay.
I want your story. And then there was a little bit of you had a kind of a traumatic thing that happened to you and you came back from it, which is what this podcast is really all about. So let's talk about you first. And can you give us a little background of where you grew up? What was the complement of your household and your environment?
Sure. My family group, I moved a lot growing up. I have 2 older brothers. They're 6 and 7 years older than me. I lived on the East Coast when I was born. We moved to the San Francisco Bay Area as a 5-year-old. So 5 to 10 were very formative years because in the 70s, parents actually didn't care where you were. They just kicked you out of the house. So I was with my older brothers a lot because they had to watch after me, and they were very athletic. So I grew up throwing a football, playing baseball, doing all the tag, everything that the kids don't do now, we did back then. We just played all day long. And that was, I guess I was a tomboy because I had 2 older brothers. And then when I was in 5th grade, we moved to Connecticut, and my dad was actually an amazing runner in college. His 4x4 team almost made it to the Olympic trials. And he was a recreational runner before it was cool, before like they had one running shoe back in the 70s. And a little girl wanted to be like her dad. One day I said, "Can I go for a run with you?" And he's like, "Sure." Now in Connecticut, he was very nice, Brad. He took me to a high school track because Connecticut is so hilly.
Yeah.
I ran 2 miles without stopping and thought it was the greatest thing in the world. It was just like that clicked for me. As a kid, I would run a couple days a week because I just loved it. And then in high school, I did cross country and track. Very mediocre, but that's where I met my best friends who I still love to this day. And in college, I went to the Ohio State University.
Okay.
My friends and I were not good enough to run at a Big Ten school. So we thought, might as well run the Columbus Marathon every year because we loved running together. So that was a tradition we started and we did for 8 or 9 years. Along the way, I qualified for Boston. I ran Boston once. I ran a Buffalo Marathon. I have a brother in Buffalo. Did a couple Sacramento because that's where I live now. And then eventually I did enough marathons. I did everything I wanted to do and transitioned to half marathons, which by mile 10, you're like, there's only 3 miles left. Like, it was great.
Yeah, I get that.
It was great. And then my girlfriends and I found a race in San Francisco called the Hot Chocolate Run, which was gorgeous. Starts in Golden Gate Park, goes along the ocean for 4 miles, ends up there. It's 9.3, which was like a nice distance because less than 10, it doesn't take your whole day to train. It was great. So I transitioned to that before my life-changing accident happened. So I grew up very athletic. When I moved to California as an adult after college, my first roommate was a group exercise instructor. And she's, "Pam, you love to work out. Why don't you become certified?" There was a 18-week course at the local junior college on how to be a group exercise instructor. So it literally fell into my lap. And then I thought, I'm thinking some of the ladies who take my class might want to be trained. I should get my personal training certification as well. And I got that a couple months later. And then my career was born.
Wow. So it's so interesting because most personal trainers don't last that long, 24 years. It usually starts out as something to do to go somewhere else, to go into to conditioning and strength out at a college or something like that. They start there, but you have maintained this and you've grown by writing books and honing in on your audience, which is fantastic. So you mentioned the accident, and that's like one of the real big things that I want to go over today.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me about the activities leading up to the accident, and then we can start talking about how you were able to rehab.
Sure. I transitioned as a trainer. It was interesting because when I have 2 kids, adult kids. When they were little, I had to do personal training in a gym. Once I went to school full time, I'm like, I have 6 hours. I could actually go to women's houses. I started being a running coach because a lot of my friends want to run half marathons. I know how to do that. I was very good. I was very good for my age group. So I was able to do that. I helped a gal qualify for Boston. I'm like, I know how to do this. And so my career changed and then turned into food coaching because women, they want to lose weight. And it is never about the exercise ever. I was my heaviest as a marathon runner. Heaviest because it was the 80s. We didn't know anything about food in college. You'd run 20 miles, you have some pizza. Like we didn't know. But I had said I had transitioned. My accident happened in December when I was training for that hot chocolate run, which was a lovely run to train for. And Brad, you see, I'm in workout clothes now. I'm a morning exerciser. That's what I like to do. But that day, my husband and I went to the mall to finish our kids' Christmas shopping. We went out to lunch. We saw a movie. And I live in California, so I have nice weather most of the year. I headed out for a run, an easy, flat 7-mile run, which would actually kill me now. But at the time, I was in really good shape. At 3:00 in the afternoon, it was 50 degrees. It was no wind. Checked my Garmin. I was at 8:15 at mile 2. I'm like, great, if I can just hold this. It was a beautiful day until I was at a shopping mall and a pizza delivery guy looked left. No cars were coming left and sped out of the parking lot. I was on his right. And I put my hand out and I screamed. And because I screamed, I face planted into the windshield, left a tooth there. Boom. And then your brain takes really good care of you because I remember screaming and then I woke up on the road rolling. And luckily it was a Sunday. There was not a lot of cars out. So there was no car in that far lane, luckily for me. And then I saw the car drive away. And he did pull back around. I'm sure he was very startled. And then your preservation instinct just kicks in because I knew I had to get to safety. So I'd crawled back to the curb. My kids have played soccer forever. And there was so much concussion talk. Like, you probably shouldn't stand up. Probably should just crawl. Crawled back to the sidewalk. And there was so much blood because I lost a bunch of teeth and waited for help.
I can't even imagine. But it's interesting that you mentioned the survival instinct and that you were able to use the knowledge that you had because I don't know that would come to. You think about it.
No, it's intrinsic. Like, your bodies get to safety. It wasn't a conscious thought. It was start crawling. It wasn't even assessing. Once I got to the curb, I was leaning over and bleeding, but it's primal. I believe all of us have a primal instinct to survive. And that's really what took over.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. So tell me about when you got there. Now, we already said what was going through your mind, but what did you feel like when you were lying? What was hurting? What was going on?
Really, I was in shock, obviously. My mouth hurt, but nothing else hurt. And in fact, when they put me in the ambulance, I remember like doing this, and I've had an ankle injury and I'm rolling my feet and I'm like, I don't think I broke any bones. Like, I know I'm in shock, but I felt pretty good. And the ambulance gal who's in there with me, she looked at me, she goes, "Oh my God, you're my worst nightmare." Because she knew how long it would take to put teeth back in my head. But I was I'm okay. Then I'm in the trauma, and my nurse, he was a big guy with a big belly. He goes, "You are the reason I don't run. It is unsafe." I was like, dude, that's not a good reason not to run. But I didn't break any bones. I had a little brain bleed that night that cleared up the next day, and I was discharged the next day. Yeah.
Okay, that is amazing. Because I was expecting a little bit more. It's not that I want that to happen to you. I definitely didn't.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that the mouth pain is like some of the worst, right? Because it's not something that it's not something that is, you can forget, push up to the side. So it's always there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I had stitches in my lip, and my discharge papers were get your stitches taken out in 5 days. And it was like, that's it? I did have a CT scan follow up for 2 years every 6 months to make sure that
Mm,
there was nothing
yeah.
wrong with my brain. But I was like, all right. And it was obviously my mouth was very tender. So I didn't eat solid food for 3 months, but I had started strength training 2 years before. Yeah, 2 years before the accident, and I am convinced my strong muscles protected my bones, and my Garmin got smashed to pieces, so I'm very thankful I had a big watch on, or else that probably would've been my wrist that hit the ground first. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But my injuries were very minor compared to what could have happened.
Hallelujah. Wow. Somebody was looking
Yeah.
down on you. And that's a testament, but that's fantastic. I'm just curious now. So how far was it till you finally get to see a dentist and you're able to get and take
Yeah.
care of the rest of the injuries?
Yeah, so that would happen on a Saturday. I was released, got home Sunday. Monday, I was at the dentist's office, and they were taking molds of my mouth, which was awful. 'Cause my teeth were so tender, but they had to do cement molds to see what's
Right.
going on. Monday, Tuesday, I went to a periodontist because my 3 of the 4 of my front teeth were gone. Actually, they were out by the root. The firemen found them in the street for me. I know it's so gross because people don't even like to get their teeth cleaned. But I'm like, because in my mind, they're like, "They might be able to put the teeth back in."
Yeah.
They didn't, but one of my front teeth was pushed back a little bit. So I saw a periodontist on Tuesday, and he pulled that out, which felt amazing because it was hitting my bottom teeth. And he's, "Okay, so we are not gonna know what we can do with you for 3 months because you might have other teeth fall out. We're gonna do a 360 X-ray, which is a school machine that goes all the way around your
Right.
head,
Yeah.
and after that happens, we'll be able to make a game plan." So it was just hanging out and waiting. I lost 6 teeth total. I had 1 lower tooth that ended up being loose, and he had to pull that. But 6 teeth, it was really I look back and I'm like, that accident happened for me because my life is so much richer since that accident. But 6 teeth, and then I do have an amazing sports guy who I've been going to since I was running marathons when I was 40. I walked into him on Wednesday to his office, and he's like, "Pam," and I told him, he's, "Okay, I want you in every 2 weeks to do spinal adjustments." And then once we got the police report, I brought that to him. He's, "Okay, now I know the trajectory of how you hit. I'll be able to help you." I have 0 pain. It's really incredible.
Yeah. So that's definitely a testament to strength training
Yeah.
and continuing to work with, I'm imagining the sports guy is also a chiropractor.
Chiropractor, somatic healer, physical therapist. He has
Yeah.
5 different degrees. So he was obviously very gentle, but he knew the kind of, and he said, "Your strong body protected your bones. You are a testament to what it means to stay in shape." He was very clear. He's, "Most people would not be in the situation that you are in," which, thank you
Yeah.
for
So,
lifelong fitness. Thank you for lifelong fitness, really.
and that's absolutely 100% true. I have been in a couple of bike accidents, nothing like what you were in. And I think I think I walked away literally because of the strength training, because of all of the biking, the swimming, the running that I've done myself. And also, you tell me, but it seems like also the rate at which we heal because of the strength, because of the extra added fibers that protect the bones, the extra tendons and the fascia, it allows for a little bit of more rapid healing along with that protection.
Yeah,
Would you say
I was running 6 weeks later. I was
6 weeks?
Yeah, and it turned me, Brad, you're gonna laugh at this. I used to be a running snob. Once
Mhm.
you're in a marathon, like, why bother if it's less than 3 or 4 miles, literally. I was so happy to run a mile that I totally changed my tune. Like, literally every minute you spend on yourself and your health is worth it. It could be 1 minute, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. I was like, I'm a terrible person because I used to think, it's not worth it unless it's a 30 minutes or whatever. Holy crap. 1 mile is amazing when you have literally not run for 6 weeks or whenever, like, even a half mile. It's 100% worth it.
I agree with that. And certain, for general health,
Yes.
I agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree. You get to a point sometimes in your fitness where your previous opinion, I agree with. For me, okay, so I'm in the middle of training for Ironman, and like I don't even warm up till the second mile. I'm not even warming up to the second mile, but that's the level of fitness I'm at. But
Right.
for the psychology, I think that you're 100%, 100% right. I hate doing this about me, but just to give people background, because I have not done an episode on myself, but I spent 8 years and all I did was help people go from 0 to 5K, 8 weeks long. It's an 8 week course. And it literally was started out with 3 minutes of running.
Yep.
That's it.
And
3
that's a
minutes
lot for
of
some people.
a conversational pace. And I'm constantly telling them, if you can't talk, you are going too fast. So you're talking like 16, 17, 18-minute miles. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And these people, when they come across the finish line of a 5K that first time, and sometimes it's 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and they are so excited.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I'm sure you've got results like that as well. And in some of the coaching that you've done.
It's so rewarding when you help somebody break through what they thought they could not do. I remember seeing a friend of mine on the treadmill, and she's telling me she's running a half marathon, but she was walking. I'm like, why are you walking? She goes, oh, because I'm going to run the first 2, walk the middle, and then right at the end, I'm like, no, absolutely not. You can run, walk, but you don't just walk that middle. And she's like, what do you mean? And she came, literally blew my mind because I didn't know I was capable of doing that. I see what people can do and it blows their minds. And when they do it, they're like, how did you know? If you're a mother, you've had a baby, you're very strong. Don't limit yourself. Stop it.
That's that's probably the most beneficial message that we can get there. We can tell people. It's amazing what they don't realize that they can do. Yeah. One of my biggest quotes is, your mind will quit 100 times before your body will. And that's it. People just feel like, oh, can't go any further. And I'm like, yes, you can. Just keep going. So at what point did you transition into more of diet and strength in your business than simply strength? Personal training, I should say.
My books happened. They started after my accident because I couldn't go back to work. And my daughter was still in high school and I would sit at the table with her. And I met with a woman. I'm like, I think I have a lot to say. Would you help me create a website? I want to do a weekly newsletter. And she said, sure. When people sign up, you should send them something. So I started writing. And I sent her, she's like, this is a book. We can self-publish this on Amazon. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, Pam, give me like 10 more pages. It's perfect balance. My first book, really basic stuff. Sleep, good eating, exercise. Nothing I say is rocket science.
Right.
Then I started training my daughters. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Which book was that? What was the first one?
The Perfect Guide to Healthy Living.
Oh, excellent.
Then I started training my daughter's soccer team in high school, and they ate absolute garbage. So I wrote Nutrition for Athletes for high school kids. Like, they would tell me they're eating at Taco Bell. I'm like, that's food you rent. It doesn't even do anything for your body. So I wrote very easy and they were high level soccer players. Like, you actually have to think about what you eat. So I wrote that for them. Women always want to lose weight. So guide to weight loss. And then one of my friends, she said she was worried about her daughter. Her daughter said she was worried about gaining weight in college. And I'm like, oh, I gained 35 pounds my first year. I will write how to avoid the freshman 15 because I did everything wrong. So the books happened organically while I was out of work, while I was recovering and getting my teeth put back in my head, because I literally had nothing else to do. I wasn't working for the first time in my life and I had all sorts of time. So it was very easy and fun to do. And Amazon's great because you can self-publish right on Amazon.
Yeah, FDA, Amazon. So you didn't find that daunting at all? Like, oh, I'm putting out these books. Like, people find that very daunting. Like, I write a book and I'm going to publish it.
My website gal had published on Amazon before. So I sent all my work to her. She made a cover. She made it look pretty. She knew what to do. And it's great because you don't pay anything out of pocket. People can just buy it. And because I've been doing this my whole life, Brad, really my whole life I've been doing this. I was a coach before I knew I was a coach. It was very easy to write. I have content coming out of my ears, really.
And no, I hear you. But you know what? Even me, I've been doing this. I'm not doing it as long as you. I've been coaching for 13 years and I feel like I've got all that stuff, but I feel like it's daunting. And I think you just inspired me because I've got the same thing. So where did your health is your wealth come from?
So after the accident, I had so many people say, I can't believe you're so positive. I can't. And I'm like, I didn't die. My whole tagline after I got hit is better than being dead, because if there was a car in that other lane, they would have run me over, literally. But when I got hit, obviously before COVID, and I wish there was no mask. You couldn't wear a mask back then. So I had to walk around like this for a while when I was at Starbucks or something. Like, your health actually is your greatest wealth. If I was not in great shape, my recovery would have been awful. It would have taken so much longer. It would have been a lot more than just my teeth. So it was at that point where I'm like, people don't understand. And we all know this: when we get sick or if we have an injury, especially as an athlete, you're like, oh, I can't wait to be healthy again. When we don't have our health, we don't have anything. Seeing your parents die, seeing older people get frail, you think, I don't want to be like that. I want to live as healthy as I can for as long as I can. And then, of course, I got very passionate about strength training because my sports guy, who is amazing, is like, your strong body protected you. Okay, ladies, let's stop chasing skinny and let's start chasing strong, because when you're 80, you're going to want to be strong and not skinny, because we all see skinny older people in the grocery store and they're just frail. Their gait is terrible. Like, we need to change our mindset about our health. So I get all worked up about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's by experience. It's if you didn't go through this traumatic experience, your mindset might have been different. Somehow I think you still would have figured it out. But I think you still would have moved in that direction even without it. That's just my opinion from reading some of the blogs and your posts and everything else. But I think it was probably done a lot faster. But yeah, it's absolutely crucial. My message is always that don't chase weight loss or being fit. Find something else, find something bigger than yourself. I had a client, her name was Kat, and she lost 150 pounds in 18 months. She was 5'1". She was weighing like 250 pounds. And she had started doing 5Ks, and she turned on the television once. She saw Ironman. She saw Ironman World Championships, and she's, oh, that's interesting. That's a really cool idea. And then when she found Ironman Florida, and she goes, I'm going to do Ironman Florida. So the idea here was that instead of her going, okay, I'm going to lose weight and get fit, she goes, I'm going to do Ironman Florida. And 18 months later, she was on the beach wearing a size small wetsuit and going out, and she did it in under 12 hours.
That's amazing.
Amazing. So that's my message to people. Is go after that biggest thing. When your message goes right on top of that, which is, hey, go for the strengths, not about weight loss. You have a specific journey for weight loss as well in your repertoire. It's called work.
Oh, I've been overweight a couple times. I'm a woman like everyone else. And I don't know about you, Brad. As a coach, people think I eat perfectly. I've never struggled. I'm like, oh no. I was running with one of my friends at Ohio State. And we stopped. I pulled up my shirt. I'm like, some girl on my back? Oh, it was my back fat jiggling. It was the 80s. We wore baggy clothes. We didn't have mirrors in our dorm rooms. I didn't know. In 2014, my dad had moved out here and he was declining with Alzheimer's and eventually died. I was 20 pounds heavier. Like, I'm a human like everyone else. So I have grown out of my underwear and bras. I know what it's like to feel uncomfortable in your own skin. It's not about being perfect. It's about making progress and never, ever giving up on yourself or your health.
Okay. Let's move with that. So this happens in 2014 and you figure out that, okay, something's got to be done.
Yes.
First of all, what was the first clue? What gave you that realization that, okay, something's got to.
I was absolutely miserable in my own skin. I had a running injury. It was one of the first times my sports guy said it was the deepest part between my hamstring and glute connector. And looking back, I was incredibly stressed. My brothers could not help me with my dad. It was awful. My kids were little. I was still carpooling and my husband traveled for work. So it was a very busy time. I think my body just said, yeah, you got to slow down. But running is my therapy. So I couldn't have therapy. I couldn't work out like I wanted to. I was just a mess. And I don't drink. I didn't drink back. I don't drink now. I didn't drink a lot back then. I'm not a big sugar person because he had Alzheimer's, and gosh, that's just a very,
sugar's poison.
Absolutely. But I remember I went back for his funeral and I saw some of my friends in Ohio, and I came home and I was sitting in the Phoenix airport. I'm like, all right, girl, you got to do something. Like, I was always in the stretchy clothes. Like, I felt miserable. And I just thought, I hope I'm under 160. The next day I got on the scale, 159.8. Okay, it's time to be accountable, because I had spent the last 3 years really going down a bad road of anybody who's ever watched their parent decline or have Alzheimer's. It is awful. And not getting support from your family, not my husband or kids, but my brothers, doing it all alone is so stressful. And it was like, it's time for me to take care of me. And that's actually when I found strength training, because I couldn't run. So I started strength training on the regular, and I was amazed. Like, I had been a runner, Brad, since I was 11. So there wasn't a lot of change.
Mm-hmm.
My body, not anymore, but when I was running the regular, I am 7:45, 7:45, 7:45. Slow day, 8:15, but really on the regular. But strength training, I was like, oh, your body really changes. It was great. Luckily for me, I had done that for 2 years before I got hit, because that really made all the difference in the world.
So let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you look in the mirror, you find like, this is gotta be done. You get on the scale once again.
Yeah.
Break. What's your first step?
Start logging on my FitnessPal every single day and be in a calorie deficit. I did not know about the importance of protein back then like I do now. Again, this is pre-internet, very little internet back then, right? We didn't know anything. So it was really daily logging and creating a deficit. And even if you go off track, like, you gotta log. It is being accountable to yourself. I did a little, like a 16-week challenge. And at the end, I was down to 143, which I fluctuate like everybody else, 143, 145. And I'm 5'7", so that's a fine weight. But it was when and I tell women this all the time, we all want instant results. It's about 1 pound a week when you don't have a ton of weight to lose. It's never going to be 5 pounds in that first week unless you have a 40 or 50 plus pounds to lose. That
right.
People give up too fast. They don't stay consistent. You just got to put the work in and you will see the results, but it's not glamorous. It's not fast. It's not sexy. It is little. It's like chipping away little by little.
Excellent. And so let's talk about a typical day in eating when you first start.
Yep.
So you decided that, okay, I need a deficit.
Yep.
And first of all, we know that a deficit is, just for everybody else out there, that a deficit is the number of calories that for resting metabolism, plus the amount that you work out, and then you subtract what you eat. If you end up with a positive number, you're a surplus. If you end up with a negative number, you're in a deficit. What was your goal for being in a deficit?
It was intermittent fasting, really, because I thought if I could only eat twice, like lunch and dinner and maybe an afternoon snack, it's less calories than if I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So and in my earlier 40s, you could do that. Not so great for menopause or premenopausal ladies, but in my early 40s, I can get away with that. And I was like, okay, I can just drink a lot of coffee and some tea and a lot of water and have an early lunch. And that actually worked. So for me, I was around, which is too low now, but Brad, I didn't know then. It was like 1,400 calories, which is too low. However, I was not running.
Right.
Strength training does not make you hungry like cardio does. I was doing zero cardio. And I saw that pound a week drop. And that's really what I did.
Did you have a daily deficit goal?
I tried to stay 1,300 to 1,400 calories every day.
Okay. So in MyFitnessPal, it will give you what your goal should be. So I tell people that, hey, you don't want to be in the deficit over 500 to 750 calories, right? You don't want to be in that deficit. Anything over than that, because then your body will start going into a fasting mode and starts saving fat for you, start storing it. I was going to ask you what you did. So is it just, you just stayed in that, instead of looking for a deficit, you basically want to just stay in that 1,300 to 1,400 calorie?
I did. I have always my whole life been a little bit of weight loss resistance. So when I find a BMR calculator and it says you eat 1,800 calories to lose weight, I'm like, I will never lose weight eating 1,800 calories. And a part of that is you have to know your body. for some people that works and that's fine. For me, I knew that was too many calories. I could have one day a week where I ate a little bit more, which I think is really good to do for your body anyway. But for the most part, I had to stick with that. And I didn't feel deprived. I didn't feel like I was chewing my arm off. It was fine. And the lack of running probably helped that because obviously running makes you hungry.
Yeah, running makes you hungry, but strength training, the other thing about strength training is, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but after you get done strength training, you continue to burn
the rest of the day
versus cardio, where you do continue to burn for the next couple of hours, but it like trails off. You could keep burning for 24 hours depending on how hard you were in the gym. Is that correct?
It is. And muscle really is your metabolic currency. So women my age, we are always taught cardio. And I tell ladies, please get off the elliptical. Please pick up a weight. Your body will thank you for it. And your metabolism runs higher than any kind of cardio that you can do. And it doesn't leave you. I've gone out for 10-mile runs. You're just tired the rest of the day. You're really hungry. You can't ever catch up. A 30-minute, 40-minute strength training, you're not destroyed for the rest of the day. You're like, all right, I'm going to eat and I'm going to move on with my day.
That's good advice. I love it. All right. So you've dropped to 143. Now are you back? So at this point, are you back in the gym working with clients?
I started, okay, it's so hard. 7 years ago now. I started doing food coaching actually. Because women want to lose weight and it's all about what they ate. So I started doing food coaching. And I did go back to teach for a little bit, but it was a class that didn't excite me. So I did it for 4 or 5 months. I'm like, you know what? This is not what I want to do. And then mostly food coaching. I train an 84-year-old guy, Frank, and his wife at the gym that I started doing 9 years ago. So they were with me through the accident. In COVID, when our gym shut down, I went to their house because I will not break up with them. So I was doing it like a little bit of training because I literally live across the street from the gym. I walk 3 minutes across the street. So I have some old time clients. I have the occasional client that comes to my house because I have a gym in my backyard. But it really went to more women want to transform their lives. And me spending time with them in the gym is different than me really guiding them on how to eat because they want to feel different in their own skin. And yes, I'm going to tell them I have a whole YouTube channel. I send tons of my videos to them. Start here and then progress because I think what do I do? Do I do yoga? Do I do Pilates? Do I do weights? So I'm like, here, start here with my workouts and then we'll progress. So it really started not back in the gym, more virtual.
Everything seemed to be going more virtual. It's definitely after the pandemic.
Yeah.
So guide me through a specific instance, or let's use a made up instance. Let's just talk about a 52-year-old woman, not obese, but not skinny. And she comes to you and says, I really like to lose some weight. I'm 52. I weigh 175 pounds. I should weigh 130. And so what's one of the first things that you'll ask them to do? Or what are the first things that you'll ask them in order to get more information?
I ask them for their top 2 health goals. Okay. So what else besides losing weight do you want to do? And then I ask them for a regular day of eating, not a diet day, just a regular day of eating. And 100% of women that I talk to do not get enough protein in because we are carb lovers by nature. And they think having oatmeal with raisins is a good breakfast. I'm like, that's carbs and carbs. You have no protein in there. They think they're saving calories by having a half a sandwich. I'm like, how much meat are you putting in there? Maybe 2 ounces. And so by the end of the day, I'm like, you're not eating to lose weight. When we were younger in the 80s and 90s, it was all about deprivation. When I tell women they have to eat more to lose weight, they're like, what are you talking about? Because you're not eating the right macronutrients for you to lose weight. Now, in the last year, I've partnered with a wellness company, Isogenics, and they have a 30-day weight loss system where my success rate with these women now is over 90% because it's incredible. Here's the thing. When you get to be my age or older, you've made 100,000 plus food decisions for yourself and your family for the last 30 or 40 years.
Right.
When I say, I want you to have a shake for breakfast, I want you to have a shake for lunch with a salad because nobody gets enough fiber. I want you to have a high protein and high veggie dinner. Let's cut out the processed stuff, cut out wine for a month. Let's see what happens. I decided, I was like, I'm not even snacking. What's going on? You're getting amazing nutrition. That's what's going on. And our society is not set up to have amazing nutrition. Our society is set up for grab, quick and easy. When you put excellent nutrition in your body, amazing things happen. I just had a gal last week. She goes, it's been 6 days. I'm down 10 pounds. What is going on? You're following the plan. So having a system to help women out has been amazing. I had a 75-year-old client. I'm like, good for you, girl. You want to keep on improving? She lost 10 pounds in 30 days. She goes, I just have that little middle. Women tend to gain weight in the middle. And I'm like, this can help you because especially as we get older, our protein needs actually increase as we get older. And most older people are eating less. I want them to eat more. So I know it sounds funny.
No, I'm 100%. When people tell me that they want to lose weight, I immediately go toward that. What is your day like? What do you eat? What do you eat now? What do you think now? And she's like, I don't understand. I'm not eating that many calories, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, there might be a problem there. And what are you eating?
It's the quality of the calories, not just the calories.
I agree. There's a lot of studies out there, and there's a lot of gurus out there that are basically saying that deficit, which I agree with to a point, but the calories that you're putting in, where are you getting them from? And not to mention that the healthier versions are less caloric, which means you can eat more.
Yeah. I show a picture on social media almost every day of I call it a BAS, a big ass salad. I'm like, you should be having a lot of vegetables every day. That fiber is going to help keep you full. And in fact, you asked something a while ago. I want to just tell you this real quick. I have 6 implants in my mouth. And my periodontist, after they put the screw in your mouth for the implant, they put something called a healing cap on. Your gums have to heal before they put the tooth on. And it's your tongue goes to whatever is not normal in your mouth. So you're like, oh yeah, there's a cap there. And all of a sudden the cap disappeared one day. I was in the grocery store and I called his office. I'm like, what happened to the healing cap? I went in, he goes, oh my God, would you please start eating McDonald's? Your gums are so healthy. It popped off the healing cap. And I'm like, no. He's like, I literally have never seen this. And I've been a periodontist for 20 years. I said, okay, I can't stop being who I am.
All because you were eating clean.
Correct.
Oh my God. That's crazy. Yeah. Pops off because her gums are too healthy.
Yes.
That's one for statistics, right?
Yes.
So the way that they develop these procedures is by the normality and the statistics of their clients, right?
Yeah.
So most of their clients do not eat that healthy. A majority should have to be that way. That's telling. That's too telling for our environment.
Yeah. And I had lost all the bone in my upper mouth since my mouth hit the windshield. So my doctor had to do a surgery where he created a pocket in my mouth and put in bone graft and stem cells so I could grow bone. And he told me, like, this might not work for you. And then once he got to know me, he's, oh my God, you're going to grow so much bone because your mouth is so healthy. And I obviously did because I have implants in, but the bone was like growing out of all different directions. He's like, I've never seen anything like this. This is crazy.
Wonderful here, so that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I am totally, I like, there's so many things that I want to talk to you about, but unfortunately I want to a lot of it is, I don't want to talk about me and my clients. I want to know more about you. And I'm like, all I'm thinking about is, what about this client? Oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about this one? We'll talk about case studies, but I don't want to do that here. So that'll have to be a different episode. We'll have to move into that. So so being of case studies, give me your best case study. You don't have to give names or anything, but the most wonderful results that you've gotten as a coach.
Sure.
Just run me through that case study.
I meet a lot of women on social media because I'm very active on there, and I've been doing what I've been doing for a long time. So I know what I'm talking about. And I talk to obviously strangers. And I was talking to this one gal, and she says, Pam, do you know what I ate today? And I was like, I don't know you. For 3 meals, she had a piece of birthday cake and a root beer. And she goes, she's in her late 50s. She goes, I know I can't keep eating like this and expect to feel good when I'm older. I said, okay. Literally, the Isagenix 30-day system. You're going to have 2 shakes a day. You're going to do 1 cleanse day a week. And the cleanse day is pretty cool, Brad, because there's so many toxins in our environment. Everybody knows that. The cleanse day attacks the toxins which are normally stored in our visceral fat. And a lot of women have it around their belly. And she was so excited. She goes, I'm actually going to do a 2-day cleanse. And she fully admitted, I am a sugar addict. 1 week later, she goes, and I call sugar, for everybody that doesn't know, the bad boyfriend. She said, I am not thinking about the bad boyfriend. I have not had the bad boyfriend. I don't know what's in these shakes. I'm up at 7 o'clock cleaning my house at night. I feel so great. This is magic. I even turned down a piece of birthday cake from somebody in the office that I work with because I don't want it because I feel so good. So when people change that much, and like everyone else, I'm still in touch with her. We're, she's still a client. That bad boyfriend got back into my life. I'm like, okay, game on. Let's go back to what works. Let's go back to the 2 shakes a day. And she goes, and it's interesting for me as a coach. I feel like I'm eating so much. You're not eating a lot. Just I'd rather have 500 calories of crap because then I can just eat it. It takes a long time to eat a salad. And I'm like, please keep on putting the good stuff back in your body. So when women can get control of their food, because I know the companies, the fast or the like cookies, crackers, chips, they make these products so you can't just have one. They have the perfect amount of sugar, salt, and fat so you can have 15, 20, 50. When I can help somebody break up with that and feel good and go, I want to feel good for my grandkids. I want to feel good when I'm 70, so I have to change now and I can help them do that. That feels amazing.
I get that. I totally get that. Wow. That's so crazy. So you are a big proponent of isogenics.
I have seen it change so many women's lives for the better. It's been, as a coach, I feel like I'm Willy Wonka with a magic ticket. Like, this works. And I've seen over 100 women change their lives in the last year with it. Like, it's crazy awesome. Yes, I love it. And I still have 2 shakes a day because I love it so much.
I know isogenics very well. It's actually, I will tell you, I had Isopro for years because it was, first of all, it's the best testing one. It's the best tasting one that I ever, was Isopro. And the fact that it was denatured whey protein.
The highest quality protein you can put in your body. It's really great. What flavor did you like?
Oh, I'm chocoholic. So yeah, it helped me hang out with or make my body feel like it was still hanging out with a bad girlfriend.
Yeah.
So it tricked me into that because it was just enough sweetness to make you feel like, I got a little bit of a treat. Better to put that in your body than.
What's interesting, Brad, I share with all my dental friends because we were besties right at the end of my journey. And my hygienist, like, I brought my blender in and I made it for everybody. She goes, Pam, it tastes like nothing. What do you mean it tastes like nothing? Brad, I don't know anybody eats. What do you eat? Hot Pockets and frozen pizza. So when your palate is used to highly processed foods, it's very bland. I've had every protein powder out there. There are some that are so sweet. So I tell everyone, it's very mild tasting, but if you eat regular food, it's going to taste great. If you don't, it's going to take a couple days for you to get used to the flavor.
No, I totally agree. All my clients are, when they feel like they are not progressing, I go back and look at their diet and see what's going on. And I give them, you might do this as well, but I make sure that they give me access to their
non-negotiable.
Great. I don't feel so bad now. I felt like that. No. All right. Just put the diary settings in. You want it for friends.
Yep.
You make sure that I can see it. I use it later on. That's like the last resort when I start seeing like progress kind of change, and it goes down, starts going down. Okay, let's figure out. Or they tell me, hey, I didn't really feel good in this workout. All right, let's look at everything. Let's look at all the data points. And it just becomes another data point.
Yeah, that's all. It's data. That's what it is.
Exactly. Oh, you know what, Pam? You and I could just sit here and just talk forever. And I would like to actually do that somewhere down the line. But we're just running a little bit out of time. So let me ask you just a couple of quick questions. One is so we talked about isogenics and we talked about but what's another resource that you find invaluable that you use on a daily basis?
I tell my clients they have to walk. When I was a long distance runner, literally again, the snob, why bother? Then I went to Italy a couple of years ago and saw 0 gyms and saw everybody walking everywhere. and everybody was normal weight.
Right.
I think people don't understand how important it is to move our bodies because we are a society of sitting. I sit a lot. I work from home. I sit a lot. Getting up and and there's no perfect number. I don't think 10,000 is a perfect number, but making sure your body moves every day, that's a non-negotiable. If you want to move when you're 80, you got to start moving now. And people are like, but it doesn't burn any calories. It does because your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your easy walking, that does actually add up to what your body burns to the day. Also, we're all in front of our computers too much, our phones too much, getting outside nature, breathing that fresh air. That's a part of your mental and physical health and wellness. But they're like, what? I'm like, after lunch, after dinner, now that it's a daylight savings, make sure you park far away. All that stuff matters, right? Taking the stairs, not the escalator. Those little things and being outside makes a huge difference in people's lives.
And I totally agree. Actually, you ever hear of Andrew Huberman?
Yes.
Stanford, right?
Yes.
Right in your back door, probably. Yeah. And he always says the same thing. He's like, move. And he says, at least 10 minutes of sunlight in your eyes every day.
And some people say, make sure you go out first thing. That's not really realistic for a lot of people, but
for a lot of people, right?
Just getting outside. And yes, we are all actually very deficient in vitamin D. So getting a little bit of sun on your skin is actually really good for your body. So yes, he's great. He's he's great.
So we get into technicals, right? You and I probably could talk about the technical side of thermogenesis. We could talk about bone deficiencies, and we can talk about different vitamins and all this stuff. He goes 10 times deeper, but yeah, he's a scientist. So of course, are you a regular listener to this podcast at all?
I cannot do 2 hours at a time. I wish they were bite sized. It's just, I can't make that commitment to it. So I don't.
Do you have a favorite podcast that you get information from?
Oh, I have loads. I love actually Karen Martell. She's a hormone expert because there's so much not great information for women in menopause and perimenopause. And there's a lot of doctors that don't want to talk about hormone replacement therapy. She is amazing. And she just changed the name of her podcast because she wanted focused on the hormone solution. She is wonderful. I love Hack My Age. She's a gal, again, about my age who has all sorts of great different health advice for women of my age. And age is irrelevant. Age is irrelevant. Helen is a friend of mine who has women over 50 on her podcast who have done amazing things in their lives. And it's just very inspirational.
Awesome. And those are the kind of resources that our listeners really need to get into and start delving into this. So I am super excited to put that out. So watch out for the show notes, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put links to Pam's website and some podcasts that she mentioned. Also, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
They can direct message me on Instagram, on TikTok. I love TikTok. They can email me. I can put my website has my email. I'm very active on social media, so I always reply when somebody reaches out.
All right. So I'll make sure that all of the handles are on the show notes. So take a look at that. And Pam, thank you very much for coming on Life Changing Challengers. I appreciate it. And I'm so glad that you were able to come back with this award-winning smile. Look at that smile, ladies and gentlemen. It's crazy if you can see the video. But I really appreciate you coming on. I think you gave a wealth of knowledge to people. And I think women are going to continue to be inspired by you as well as men. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity to share my story.
Yes. Yeah. And it was a fantastic story. So thank you very much. All right, everybody. Listen, until next time, this is Life Changing Challengers and this is Brad and I'm out.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Life Changing Challengers. I'm your host, Brad Minus, saying thank you for joining us on this journey of transformation. If today's stories inspired you, please take a moment to review, share, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us reach more listeners and create an even bigger impact. Remember, every challenge is a chance to grow. Until next time, keep pushing, keep challenging, and never stop pursuing your extraordinary.